This is Brian Putt. Thank you for joining me for the 7th video on the Lone Star Drilling Opportunity Assessment. In this video we're going to be talking about the net present value and the capital efficiency chart with information. If you're not familiar with the problem, you might want to go back and look at the first video on Introduction to Lone Star Drilling Opportunity, and then also look at number 6, setting up a value of information evaluation with continuous variables, so you understand what we're talking about here. So what is the NPV with information? Well, let's see. The NPV without information was 2.14, and that's the black line here. And with information, I get the orange line for MJ2. So now I'm going to add those two curves together. I'm going to add these two curves together to get this blue curve. So now let's interpret what we're seeing here. The curve that we're interested in learning about is this orange curve. So we can see that we go up here. That's when we don't develop. Now, and by the way, we're going to develop only the mid and the high. In other words, if we see the low IP, we're not going to develop. If we developed all three, it gave us information, but if we have the same decision policy, then we've gained nothing. There has to be the possibility of changing our decision policy with the information versus without. If we do the exact same thing, we're going to get the exact same answer, okay, other than the cost of the test. So this is when we decide to drill, but it's dry. This is when we decide to not drill because we got the low IP from the information. So the cost is zero. It would be a negative cost to gather the information, perhaps. But that would be small relative to everything else. And then this is when we developed and we were successful. A successful field. So those are the three segments in this orange line. And then when we add them together, we get the blue line. So you can see how having these multiple cumulative distribution charts all on the same, all together, can really help to explain what's going on to get this. If we just showed you this blue line by itself, it would be much more difficult to understand. What about the mid-IP? We have a choice whether to develop that or not. So this chart here shows the developing the M1 and M2, and then if we develop both the mid and the high IPs, we get the red line. That's what we just discussed. And if we do the H only, we get this blue line. So there's a lot of times that we're developing M1 but not M2, and then we have this positive outcome. It has an expected value of 3.59 versus the 4.5 and the 4.05. So which one of these do you want to do? Also, you've got to look at the risk preferences, because there's with the information now, which is the red line, right? We have a 50% chance of positive NPV, but with the blue line, when we do high only, we only have a 40% chance. We still have some negative downside here, even if we did the high, because we did MJ1, right? So you got to decide what's important. Well, once again, let's use the capital efficiency chart to help us understand. So here are the 4 points we've talked about. This is MJ1. Here's MJ1 and 2 only. And then if I do both the mid and the high, I can go from here up to here. Hey, that's good because now I'm above, the whole project's above a 0.3. That looks positive. And clearly, the information is a positive PI. In fact, if you calculate it, it should be negative, because not only do I lower my capital costs, I also raise my NPV. That's a win-win, isn't it? That's a win-win. But then when I go to H only, it reduces my NPV, but it also reduces my capital. So the question becomes, what do I want to do? This is kind of a toss-up here, because you can see that the slope down here, well, the other way to think about it, going from H only up to M and H, is roughly a 0.3 PI. So that's kind of a wash. They're both above the 0.3. We saw that situation in my example, I think. So let's go look at another metric. Let's go look at reserves, okay?